Today on the channel, it's the return of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, and we're still riding that high from the Masters of the Universe movie. In today's video, I'm counting down my top 5 trap jaw figures of all time.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition here on the channel, as each and every single Thursday for 4+ years at this point, 5 could be Todd McFarlane, we've been doing a top 5 and occasionally top 10 countdowns, and today we're the top 5 variety, and we're still riding that high from the Masters of the Universe movie around here. Todd, we got to go again on Wednesday. Maybe you and me next week. We'll see what happens. I got like a 3-hour window available, so I might go. Todd and I from the couch. It could be a riveting time. We'll go to one of those fancy ones where you feel like you're on the couch, Todd. But I'll probably see that Masters Universe movie one more time. Not sure if I'll ever have that opportunity again, at least in the theater. Some mixed reviews on that one. I think in the collectors community, at least the people I follow and gallivant around with, Todd McFarlane, they really enjoyed the movie. Obviously, some did not. Not sure it's a financial success, but we'll probably talk a lot more about that in future videos. Putting our business hat on, where I'm going to think there's possibly going to be a sequel. It might not have the budget of the first one, but I feel like we'll get a sequel. And maybe I'll talk about that in another video, and I'll explain all my reasonings, and I'll explain the reasons why. But today, we're talking about Trapjaw, one of the most horror-level villains, I would say. I think that's a fair assessment in the Masters of the Universe. And a guy that had a lot more screen time and presence in the movie than I was anticipating. As being a longtime fan of Trapjaw since my childhood, I was pretty happy to see that. And let's be honest, we've had a ton of great Trapjaw figures, and yeah, you're right, Todd McFarlane. We've had some god-awful Trapjaw figures over the years, but today, we're celebrating the best of the best as the top 5 here, and we're going to dive into it like a young Eric Roberts once upon a time, possibly as well. Who knows? But of course, this is my list. Put your list in the comments below, and of course, you know we started off at number 5, and we work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my absolute favorite Trapjaw figure of all time. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Number 5. All right, the Trapjaw top 5 starts off at number 5. And the more I was getting to things, I could have probably done a top 10 with Trapjaw, but we'll stick it at number 5 here. And I think there's going to be some surprises along the way. Can't wait to see what your list looks like in the comments down below. But here we are at number 5. Could start off a little controversial, Todd McFarlane from the couch. But number 5, maybe a little bit of recency biased. I don't know. But we're going to the He-Man and the Masters Universe Masterverse, and we're headed over to New Eternia for our friend Trapjaw this time. Now, this one's a bit of a sleeper one, and a lot of people were down on the Masterverse. I've had some twists and turns with the Masterverse myself, but I'm really appreciating them more and more, especially as they are technically on ice. I don't know what you want to call it, but the New Eternia subline really put a shot of adrenaline into the Masterverse, and those were some of the best figures we saw out of the Masterverse. Were New Eternia. We got other versions of Trapjaw and Masterverse, but the New Eternia one really stands out. We got some hallmarks of course, Trapjaw, some of the stuff he always has, you know, his mechanical arm, the face, all that kind of stuff. But we also got some different things you could do with Trapjaw to make him different. Like on his claw hand here, you can remove this and switch it with the mouth if you want to. It gave you a lot of options for posability and playability with these. Masterverse, I understand, isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people are over the moon with Chronicles. I understand that. That's the new shiny toy. But I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, Trapjaw Chronicles maybe would make the top 10 towards the end. I'm not even sure at that one there. It feels just a little bit unfinished to me, especially as it's been able to marinate for a while. And we're not talking about that one here, but I do like this New Eternia one. It's got hallmarks of the past with modern articulation. There's a lot to like about this, and for someone like me who did enjoy the Masterverse, well, it's playing a lot of hits, and it's coming in at number 5. Hit the number 4 spot in the countdown, and number 4 selection, we're going over to Super 7 in a bit of a plot twist here. Mattel Super 7, kind of carrying on the tradition of the classics. You guys know I'm a classics guy, but I believe technically Super 7, but you could say Mattel, and I wouldn't fault you for it. We're going to Filmation version of Trapjaw in the classics type scale here. Absolutely love the Filmation. That's what brought us to the dance. I guess I can't necessarily say that about He-Man. Some people started with the action figures, some people started with the cartoons, and that's your first impression when you see a character. Knowing full out the cartoon and the original figures were very different with hallmarks in between. But for me, when I think of Trapjaw, this is one of the things that comes to my mind. It's almost 50-50 for me in that original toy, but I do enjoy this version here from, we'll call it classic style Filmation. Very colorful and bright, especially for such a dark character like Trapjaw. You know, in the 80s, everybody was loving the blue. Cobra Commander was wearing blue. Do I mention the Smurfs? Do I mention Trapjaw? They were playing a lot of hits with the blue colors, and this one always does pop against that kind of pinkish color as well. So it invites you in with some friendly, vibrant colors, and then you got some nightmare fuel as well when you look into the face. And I guarantee there was a lot of kids back in the Filmation days that were real small that were scared of Trapjaw. Not me, Todd McFarlane. I'm not scared of anything. But I'm sure there were some kids. Could have been you. Could have been you on the couch, Todd. What? You were 18 at the time and you were scared. Okay, that makes sense too. But I always enjoyed this one. It is a standout in the Filmation collection from the classic Super 7 Mattel. Always enjoyed this. Enjoy it so much. It came in at number 4 in the top 5 countdown. We've hit the halfway point of the countdown. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. Make sure you put it in order. That's the hard part. That is the fun part. And you made it this far. You might as well thumbs up the video now. You know you 100% agree with all these selections. Hit up the old thumb and subscribe to the channel. How about while you're at it? But now we're seeing a little bit of a theme here as we're going back to the classics. Once again, you know, I'm just a classics guy for number 3. And number 3 coming in extra hot with Trapjaw Masters Universe Classics. And like I said, the last one, when I close my eyes, that's what I think of. But I also think of this one, a little bit more toy version, we could call it with this, but a little bit more grimy, a little bit more meatier, a little bit nastier, a little bit darker. That's what we got with the classics line of Trapjaw. Just nightmare fuel with the Trapjaw mouth, as you can imagine, and the crazy coked out eyes. Of course, Trapjaw is doing a bunch of lines out back behind the throne. We know what he's up to. We know what he's up to. He's got the Skeletor Championship belt there. Not the Eternian Championship belt, the Skeletor. It's kind of like AEW, WWE. It's a whole thing, of course. But he does got that belt. You got all the extra accessories here. A lot of hits being played. And this was actually something better than you could ever expect it to be at the time. I remember seeing this for the first time. And that was the first time we really got into the weeds of adult level collecting for our He-Man. Yeah, we saw some of the 2000 series. Still felt a little kiddie, just like the original. But this felt like it was for adults. This is what our mind's eye was imagining in an adult collector's toy line here with the Masters Universe. And this classics Trapjaw playing, dare I say, all the hits at number 3. Closer and closer to the top spot. We're at number 2. Can you believe it? And we got the number 2 selection, a fairly recent one. We probably unboxed this on the channel maybe a year and a half ago, as we say, what is time? And it goes over to our friends over there at Mondo. Of course, Mondo making some of the absolute best Masters Universe stuff to this day, be it 2000X, be it the classic 1/6 scale, all points in between. You know what I'm talking about, but we're going to Trapjaw, but which one? We're going to the blood and guts version, the dark and dingy Trapjaw is where we're going for this one. Very, very cool. Now, you guys know, or maybe real ones know, that could be it too, Todd McFarlane. There's 2 other versions. There was the Filmation one and then the Mini Comics yellow version as well. So we got 3 Trapjaws in total. Far and away, this one is my favorite one, as the other ones didn't make the top 5. Probably top 10, not top 5. But this one is the one I like. This is the more grittier, grimier version. All the great bells and whistles. We got Mondo, extra hands, extra heads, extra attachment pieces for him. He is playing all the hits right here. Fabulous, fabulous scale on this one too. They display really nice. It's like a statue action figure. Really stands out in the Masters Universe collection amongst all the other Mondo figures. And there's been some amazing ones, as we do know. But I love, love, love the looks of this one. Very, very fun. But he only comes in at number 2, which means, Todd McFarlane, by my math, there can only be one, like a young Highlander. What is the number 1 Trapjaw figure of all time, as voted by me? Well, stay tuned. Here we are. We've hit the number 1 spot, the number 1 Trapjaw figure of all time. And I have a feeling a lot of you guys and you gals, never forget you gals out there, probably can guess what number 1 is. But put your guess in the comments down below. But as while you're here, once again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out Patreon, YouTube channel memberships, your best way to support the channel. Plenty of bonus content, bonus stuff over there to keep you busy as well. Appreciate all the support. But number 1, unfortunately, I do not have in my collection. And I've talked about it before in the past. is the number one selection here goes back to the original He-Man in the Masters Universe line. It is the original Trapjaw figure. One of my absolute favorite figures from my childhood, but as I said, in a plot twist, I have none of my original He-Man figures. I sold them all once upon a time, saving that for a video down the line. That's so hard to say goodbye, zero. It's going to go backwards for that one. I'm going to explain selling my entire childhood collection, the reasons why, what I was going through with my mind, all that thing. It'll be a future video that I've been promising for over 5 years and have yet to deliver. But one of these days. But number one here is the original version. That's what brought me to the Trapjaw dance. That was one of the first He-Man figures I had as a kid, and it was so darn cool. Like all these other ones, they're very cool, but this one is the one that started it off in the cool factor. You had the attachable arms and moving it around. There was so much playability with this one, and let's be honest, a very horrified character, I guess, back in the day. Little kids gravitate towards that stuff. I know I definitely did, and he was a huge foe for He-Man, Man-at-Arms, etc., etc. And I'm not saying one day I'm leaning up on it, I'm leaning against it, or I'm leaning into it more like it, like I used to in Little League. If I knew I had to get on base, I'd lean into a pitch. You got to do what you got to do to get on base. And I want to lean into a Masters Universe collection. I just know my brain will tell me, Kyle, you got to get every single one. I don't know if that's a good idea. Part of me is like, just get all the ones you had, but I did have a lot, so I don't know. Part of me would like to go back and get them all, but I'd want to have them all complete, minty loose, and I don't know. That's a future problem for Kyle, or a never problem for Kyle. But I'll never forget as a little kid playing with that original Trapjaw. Absolute amazing memories. Never forget the original memories of hanging out with Trapjaw, watching little cartoons, drinking a Mountain Dew maybe. Who knows what I was up to. But I'm sure it was better times than right now. That's for sure. Maybe not. The best days are ahead, right? Something like that. But that Trapjaw was easily number one when I started my list. And as I finished my list, it stayed in at number one. But what's your top 5 looking like? Put it in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels, 2 YouTube channels with content every single day. Appreciate the support out there. Appreciate everybody that checks out the videos on both YouTube channels. Check out YouTube channel memberships and Patreon for early access to everything, my podcast, all the videos for both channels, the glamour shots, bonus videos, giveaways. It's all going down over there. Appreciate the support once again. SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, which is the name of my podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show, available where podcasts are found, with video cast on YouTube. So for a Trapjaw top 5, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?